I didn't see that you popped into my discussion question. Today, since we are doing Project Muse, I said let's talk about music in the Civil War. Music in the Civil War played a huge part of everyday life. And so let's see how this impacted each soldier. In this first book that we're going to look at is called Bugles Resounding, Music and Musicians in the Civil War Era by Bruce C. Kelly and Mark A. Schnell. This book looks at music in the Civil War in a lot of ways. One of the ways is how it still affects people today. Using methods, they try to go and seek information from the past to explain how it helps to build the future. To do this, they make what's called an anthology. An anthology is putting together many different sources, and from there, using the sources in different ways. This is a great method when researching. The fact is, as we know, researching takes lots and lots of time and lots of effort. And this takes away some of that time and effort because it gives you a whole lot of information within one book. That doesn't mean you can just stop with this book, but it really helps. Beyond that, this book tries to have an interdisciplinary stance, saying, hey, musicians can use this, historians can use this, uh, anyone in humanities can use this, everyone can use this, period. So this is a great idea for this book and a great help. Hello again. This, well, isn't the actual instrument, but this is what over-the-shoulder cornet would have looked like. Because people in the Civil War marched in front of the troops, they needed to have their horns shooting back at them. And so let's talk about that in our next article. This next video is called The Music of the Civil War Era by John Usendow. This is a wonderful article and it shows how music of the Civil War has been redone and played throughout the years. It sets up this idea and goes through different eras like the acoustic era, the electric era, which is oddly 1925 to 1948. I thought the electric era was in the 80s, but then they have something called the LP era, 1948 to 1982, and they talk about how they had different bands start to recreate old Civil War bands. Maybe I can bring my over-the-shoulder fake cornet and play with them. Then from 1982 to now is the current era, or CD era. Well, at least until 2003, since that is where this article is made. This article did a wonderful job. It showed different eras and how Civil War music impacted each of those eras. Besides music, a lot of other things started to change within entertainment. Comedy was one of them. And one of the reasons for this is mass production of paper material. So the Civil War was one of the first paper wars. That means one of the first wars where propaganda could really be used to affect a whole lot of people. And this next article will see just how that happened. Departing a little bit from music in the Civil War by itself, this next book is called Civil War Humor by Carmen C. Nichols. This looks at how wartime humor was passed around between different peoples at this time. Song lyrics, newspaper columns, sheet music, and political cartoons were all things that got disseminated between a whole lot of different people. Nichols tries to make the claim that mass printing was now a thing, and this mass printing changed the way that these type of items were distributed. Nichols says this was a war that was a paper war, while others may have had this in a little ways. Nichols felt that this was one of the first major paper wars. Note, propaganda has been around for a long time, so while this may not have been the first paper war period, he believes that this is one of the first major paper wars. Looking at the methods they use, they actually bring in cartoons, old sheet music, and analyze it and see just what made it popular at the time. All in all, a pretty good read. And so we have seen so many different articles about music and entertainment during the Civil War. And this is from Project Muse. And this is a great resource to get information you need about a multitude of things. I would recommend this database be used by anyone. So thank you and hope to see you for our final discussion post next week.